Ogre here. I want to make a quick trail review of Knobby Ridge Motorcycle Park located in Clark County, Wisconsin. I've been riding here for a few years now, and I still have a blast every time I come here. There isn't a lot of single track to ride here, but there's a couple of things that make it stand out from other OHV parks that I really like. Amenity-wise, Knobby Ridge is definitely above average, with mapping and information at the entrance. The trail system itself does lack signage, although the trails are extremely easy to follow, so that's no big deal. The staging area has a large parking lot with a loading ramp. There's also a small campground that is self-registered, a picnic area, nice pit toilets, and drinking water. The closest gas station, Quick Trip, and town itself is about 10 minutes away, so it's not a terrible drive to get food or fuel if you need it, although the trail system itself is pretty isolated, so I felt that's worth noting. Now, Knobby Ridge is an off-road motorcycle only area, meaning only dual sports and dirt bikes are allowed. As of June 2022, fees for the park are still waived, but you are still required to display the Wisconsin DNR registration for your machine, whether it's street legal or not. As for what this trail system offers, they only have roughly 4 to 6 miles of single track, which is an approximation. I actually don't know how many miles there is because they recently added a couple of small sections, which is cool, but now the posted maps are inaccurate and the vast majority of the trail still remains closed. As of June 2022, the trails east of the road Bachelor's Avenue are still closed, and that's where the majority of this trail system is, which is a shame. I've no idea why it's closed down, but it is what it is. So, with those other trails closed down, they have their main loop and a youth loop. The youth loop is terrain-wise is almost identical to what you'll find on the full trail, but it's just much shorter. So if you're unsure whether you have the ability to tackle the main trail, try out the youth loop and decide from there. One thing that really separates this park from others is that they have a little miniature motocross track. It's super fun to tool around on, and it's also kind of a teaser of what you should be expecting from the single track too. As for the single track itself, it's short, but it's fun. The terrain varies from hard-packed dirt to brief rocky sections to mud to very deep sand, but it's mostly hard-packed dirt in a relatively hilly area. You'll find lots of off-cambered roots and embedded rocks on this trail, so keep an eye out. When it rains though, man, be careful. You can basically lose your bike in some of these mud holes that the rain creates. It's definitely not a hard trail by any means, but there's a few short sections that offer a mild challenge. I would definitely say that this is a pretty beginner-friendly trail, so long as you have a good basic understanding of how to ride a dirt bike. This is actually where my wife has been learning to ride off-road in general. Also, if you've got the skill, you could totally tackle this trail on a bigger ADV bike like a KLR 650 or Tenere 700. In fact, I've seen it done here. As far as how maintained the trails are, I would say this trail is above average. Unlike Crawford Hills near Black River Falls, Wisconsin, you won't find any surprise tree stumps shrouded by brush that'll destroy your foot. This trail is well cleared with good visibility at your sides and in front of you. This trail is clearly maintained regularly. The only thing you'll run into is the occasional tree branch ready to decapitate you, but I've yet to ride single track that doesn't have that. So how would I rate these trails? I'll rate on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the hardest or best. Trail difficulty when wet and dry, 4 out of 10. Now, when I'm talking about trail difficulty, a flat, paved road would be a 1, and a course that they use for hard enduro championships like Romaniacs would be a 10. Within my rating system, I would say anything from a 1 to 4 would be considered beginner friendly. That's assuming you have a forgiving enough machine and a basic understanding of balance and clutch work. So, I'm giving the wet and dry ratings of Knobby Ridge the same rating of 4 for a few reasons. When the trails are dry, the mud is gone and the only real challenge presented is some pretty deep sand with some whoops and little rock gardens, along with some little hill climbs with off-cambered roofs. But on the flip side, when the trails are wet, the sand is packed down harder, taking away the challenge of the harder sandy sections and giving you some big mud holes to play with. Personally, I think this trail system is relatively easy even on Bridgestone Trail Wing tires, which are dubbed Death Wings and are DOT knobbies, being considered one of the worst dual sport tires in existence. Now, there's a few sections where I feel a little more challenged, but my wife is a total beginner to dirt biking riding, and she was able to make it through these trails 4 times now with only minor drops and falls. So it's really a toss-up. I was going to give the difficulty a 5, but the shortness of the trail system just really adds to the ease of it. Trail scenery, 7 out of 10. This is obviously subjective, but I love forestry. This is a beautifully wooded area with enough variety in it to keep you engaged with your surroundings. You will find yourself shrouded in forest, coming out into beautiful clearings that are just damn pretty. Trail amenities, 7 out of 10. As I've told you, this trail system is pretty isolated, but unlike Nemadji in northern Minnesota, civilization is only roughly 10 minutes away, and the park itself has a campsite with electricity, picnic area, water, bathrooms, information, albeit some of it is outdated and misinformation, staging, and loading. Besides food, the park itself basically has everything you need. So my overall rating, 6 out of 10. Obviously my biggest gripe with this trail system is that there isn't much to ride, but if you're looking for a relaxing, tucked away camping spot that you can bring the bikes along with to enjoy, this would be the perfect place. Luckily for me, I'm only about an hour away, so this makes for about a half a day of fun, essentially. Hope you all enjoyed this video. My goal is to make reviews of all the single track and a lot of the ATV trails in Wisconsin in the future. Please subscribe if you aren't, like, comment. It really motivates me to keep making content like this. Ride safe, guys.